Hello, everybody. My name is John Manganero, and I'm a senior reporter for the Daily Upside. We're coming at you live today from the Future Proof Conference on Miami Beach. It's a beautiful day here, a bit hot, but I'm loving the weather having come from New York. Joined today for this interview by Patrick Carlson, who's Associate General Counsel, Estate and Tax Product for Vanilla. Thanks so much for being here. First of all, how are you enjoying the conference? Are you a Future Proof veteran at this point? Is this your first one?
So this is my first future proof.
Okay.
And, you mentioned the beautiful weather on the beach here. I live in the Boston area. We have snow on our beach still.
Yep.
So it's, at least when I left, we did. So absolutely fantastic. But the conference has been great. Been able to kind of watch it and check out some of the speakers. It's been a really good time.
Yeah. Really interesting to me. I spoke with your CEO, Gene Farrell. We've interviewed several times. And the last time we talked, he told me this anecdote that early on in Vanilla's history, you guys would call up advisors and they really thought of estate planning as something that attorneys did. They loved the platform. They thought it was interesting, but they didn't think it was for them. Fast forward to 2026 and the story has changed completely. I wonder if you could unpack that for us a little bit.
It absolutely has. I think Gina is exactly right. I remember years ago when I first started working at Vanilla, and it was about trying to even describe to the advisor audience, like, why should they even care about this? And yet, in just a few short years, we've gone from that to basically this world where, according to our new 2026 estate planning sort of survey that we've done, which was over 1,000 consumers out in the market, we learned that north of 80% of them are expecting some level of estate planning advice from their financial advisors. So we've gone from like, why should I even care about that? I can hand it off to the attorney, to something that's really sort of an integrated part of a full, a holistic full wealth offering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been really interesting as a reporter to follow along with the
Oh, and I feel like the rate of change. I mean, in a way, we've kind of seen this before in the past with financial planning, right? You go back 10 or 15 years, and there was that kind of sea change, and that took a really long time. There are still some people that haven't fully on board with financial planning. Yet in the estate planning world, it's really just the change, and the pace of change has just been greatly accelerated.
Yeah, yeah. And something else I wanted to ask you is, why sort of course, not for Vanilla's platform, but I think estate planning tools have kind of lagged behind some of the other planning tools that have been put in the hands of advisors. And of course, you guys are using AI to help close that gap. But maybe you could speak about that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think one of the reasons that it has kind of lagged behind some of the other pieces of kind of the overall, kind of financial advisory kind of tool stack is because estate planning sits at this kind of intersection of like, there's taxes, there's state law, there's family dynamics, there's investment decisions, there's lots of things that you kind of have to think about and manage. So it's not as it's such a broad spectrum that it's kind of been hard to build technology, I think, in the past that kind of covered all of the different bases. But that's one of the amazing things about AI, is that it really allows you to have this kind of broad context, and it allows us to bring things together in a way that I think was really hard, or obviously it must have been impossible because it just wasn't happening in the past. It also lets us really develop a lot more quickly, because this is also a place where we're really worried about all the different state laws, different tax regimes. There was the big beautiful bill last year, which changed a whole bunch of rules. States are changing all their rules. So the AI also enables us as developers and as an organization to kind of turn around those changes even more quickly than before.
Yeah. And again, AI is so powerful in closing that gap. And I think it's going to be very exciting to see where the company can go in the future. And of course, keeping up with regulatory change is a big part of the job. Could you speak about how, you've seen advisor firms that have embraced the platform, how it helps them stand out in a very competitive marketplace? And particularly, I think it's interesting to think about how uh, these sorts of estate planning tools are useful for very wealthy clients, but also for your mass affluent clients. It's really something that can apply broadly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, in a way, like even before the vanilla platform, your really wealthy clients, I mean, they were getting estate planning services because these were the people that could afford the army of attorneys and accountants and everybody like that before. So really what vanilla has done is that for those types of clients, it's really provided a way to really go deeper, be more efficient, serve things more quickly, which means better advantage of taking advantage of opportunities more quickly. But it's really, I think, as we've seen also, as an estate planner, I also, worked across the wealth spectrum as well. I had some very wealthy clients, but I also had a lot of regular everyday clients as well, children of those clients. And so really across the entire spectrum, the stakes are a little bit different, of course. When we have a client that has, a few $1 million, a mass affluent type of client, we're not as worried about like an estate tax issue, but they still care about who's going to receive their assets. They still care about that legacy. They still care about, benefiting the causes that they care about, minimizing costs, making administration as easy as possible. So those are kind of universal concerns. And one of the things I like about what we've done at Vanilla is, although we started at the high end, because our founder, Steve Lokshin, he works with a lot of very large clients out there. We started there to build a tool suite that helps him in his practice. We have since gone across the entire market. So it's really about basically being able to provide that kind of, up to date current plan that achieves the, person's goals regardless of the level of wealth that they have.
Yeah, totally. And shout out to Steve. I've had the chance to interview him as well as Gene. Super generous guy with his time and expertise. I always learn a lot when I speak with him. Must be fun working together.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I get, not infrequent Slack messages from Steve about things. So it's really exciting to kind of see the way that he works with his clients and be thinking about how to kind of bake that in so we can really just level up the entire advisor community to bring that kind of planning perspective across the board.
Yeah, 100%. Before I let you go, one thing I wanted to ask you about is a story I reported on. I think it was last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. The firm earned a patent for some of its technologies. Tell us what that was all about and why it's important.
So the patent that we earned is over our sort of, event-based asset distribution system that kind of calculates basically who gets what in an estate. And so this is really critically important in the world of estate planning because you often want to talk to the clients about instead of this giant binder of documents that feels very disconnected from reality, we can actually say, here's how the assets are dividing. Things are going equal. Maybe they're not going equally. Is that the intent that you have? So the ability to kind of see that and have it basically update on the fly is really, really powerful. Again, comes to all wealth levels too. So we're seeing both the tax calculations for people who have it. We're also seeing, the ability to kind of see how those assets flow for people that don't have a taxable estate. I think it's really critically important though, and it just kind of shows the maturation of the kind of estate planning space as well. I mean, everybody's talking about AI. This conference has been filled with AI. In fact, right behind us, right over here, there's the AI tent, AI sandbox, all the AI things. But again, it's AI is not the only sort of technology. So some of these sort of other systems and things that AI can help enhance or move more quickly. I mean, I think it's really about it being better together. So again, I think that's one of the things that positions us as one of the kind of leading providers in this space because we're doubling down on the AI technology, but we're also built with a really solid foundation in some of the kind of critical tax and distribution elements that you just have to have in an estate planning platform.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense and very exciting. And we'll certainly be following along as have other
Absolutely.
news and announcements and
For sure.
developments on the platform. You guys are always staying busy and trying to innovate. So we'll certainly keep in touch. How you feeling about the rest of Future Proof? You think you'll come back for another edition in the future?
I definitely could see being back. I know we're going to be out at the one in California later this year.
I'll see you there.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. We'll see you then.
Excellent. Well, thank you for listening to this interview. Again, Patrick, thank you so much for your time and your expertise.
Thanks for having me.
We'll go ahead and close the interview, and this will be the last one at Future Proof. So thanks for closing it out.
All right. Thank you.